Starting in 1990, our real estate opportunities because of tax credits and state financing, and we all of a sudden had, 3 major projects in the works. Our staff was going to triple in size. And it was also during that period that I had been looking around. I'd been having a lot of conversations with activists and ex-patients around the way the mental health system treated people. And my excuse had always been, it's not me, it's the rules, that we're forced to abide by. These are the regulations, you can do that, you can't do that. More and more I began to question whether that was, really a fair, valid kind of position to take. And now with an opportunity, we're going to be adding all this new staff that wasn't bound by kind of all the Medicaid or state regulations, because we were going to build housing that's just straight up affordable housing. So at some point we needed to change the culture of the organization. And Peter Stasny is a psychiatrist that's worked with community access for many years, and knew this fellow Howard Geld, and who had originally been from New York, had moved to California, was interested in coming back, we found out from Peter. And so we began this correspondence about our ideas about transforming the agency and creating a position for Howie. And we settled on this director of advocacy as a person put him on the management team, and then begin this process of what an agency that valued peer involvement would look like, because we really didn't have a blueprint for it. We had some ideas, but we really needed to work through it on a day-by-day basis. Howie came around 1993, I guess, and we had a clubhouse program at the time on Avenue C and 6th Street, and so Howie moved his office in there. One of the things he did was run classes for the members of the clubhouse about the history of the mental health patient rights movement, which really began in the 60s alongside the civil rights and women's rights movement. And that concept that people not only have a right to be in the community, but could participate as active agents and have a job and do the work in the field. So we had a lot of ideas around employment, and that how you can really change the status of a person if they have a job, especially if they have their own job or if they can start a business. So we did some we did 2 conferences at the New School, and we brought in dozens of people. We did brainstorming sessions and so forth. We owned a sporting goods store at one point on Avenue A. Actually, one of the first things he noticed in our job postings, we said you had to have a college degree for these positions, like what we call service coordinators. And he says, I wouldn't be eligible for your jobs here because I didn't graduate from high school, let alone thing. So we took all this. There's a lot of hidden barriers that you don't notice right away until somebody points them out to you. That was one of the things we did to open up our hiring to a broader group of people who maybe have the aptitude and skills to do the job, but need some maybe extra training and so forth. And the state at the time was thinking about creating a position at state hospitals for former patients to be like a peer employee and create actual budget line for that. So that sort of inspired us, we should set up a training program to train people to compete for these positions. And so we went to the Office of Mental Health, and there was one guy that worked there, had enough authority to just give us a $400,000 grant and to set up so we rented a storefront in the Lower East Side and renovated it and set up a seminar table and so forth, and began working on a curriculum. So Howie and another fellow, Howie Vogel, who had started this whole other program called Double Trouble, People in Recovery from Substance Use and Mental Health Issues. They collaborated on a curriculum, what it would take to get people ready to go into these kinds of jobs. And it was 200 or 300 hours of seminar-style classrooms, role-playing, and all kinds of stuff, and then getting internships, getting practice. We were ready to go in February of 1995. The space had renovated, the first class had been selected and so forth, and Howie died of a heart attack, a week a week before the classes. And so we delayed for like 3 months, and then we began. So I forgot what the original name of the program was going to be, but we changed it to honor Howie and called it the Howie the Harp Peer Specialists Training Program. When we started the peer training program in 1995, why wait for us to kind of like place people in these state hospital jobs when we should be doing that? We can be hiring folks ourselves, and we can create positions here. And we made a conscious decision not to create special positions. We wanted people to compete for the same jobs that everybody else was, getting hired for. So, but it was an affirmative, people with equal qualifications, our preference would be to take somebody who had a lived experience, who had used mental health services or was using services, which really opened up the opportunities for a lot of people. Other staff felt somebody's being given a preference for a position. It can create issues. So one of the things we did is we made sure that our job descriptions were very specific about what your performance was supposed to be. You weren't in this job because of sort of who you are, you're in this job because of what you can do. And you're being judged by sort of objective criteria. And when we did that, I think people felt, comfortable. And people who still felt uncomfortable eventually left. So that sort of transforms the culture. So it's not just sort of giving some people an opportunity they didn't have before. You're really giving everybody an opportunity to work in a place that has kind of a different set of values. And your customers, the people you're working with, the tenants and the people in your program, notice the difference. And it instills, I guess, a sense of hope and opportunity in them that they can see that there's something that their life can be transformed, or somebody's life can be transformed. And it's not just sort of a program where there's a service that they're getting. It is this sort of collaborative process, I guess, that we're all sort of in this together. I've dealt with the same issues you're dealing with, and we're going to figure this out together.